Hello, my name is Emma and today I am going to be giving you guys my spoiler-free review of Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. I loved this book so much. I can't even express to you how much I adored this book. This is a really powerful feminist YA novel that I think literally everyone should read. This is a book about empowerment, about fighting for what you believe in and for using your voice, and I honestly think this has the strongest message out of so many books that I have read in YA. It really is a fantastic novel that I'd recommend to literally everyone. So Moxie follows our main character named Viv, who currently goes to East Rockport High in Texas, where she's been experiencing a lot of sexism and she's pretty fed up with it. For example, the school's football team gets all the funding, the players are able to do whatever they want, whereas girls' teams get more neglected. The boys are extremely sexist and misogynistic in their manner, in the clothes they wear, in the behavior towards their female classmates. In response, Viv decides to take inspiration from the 90s riot girls movement of feminism and starts a feminist zine that she gives out anonymously in the bathroom of her schools to hopefully empower some of the women and to take a stand against the school's sexism. I do want to place some content warnings for some very obvious sexism and misogyny, as well as sexual harassment, which there is a ton of in this book, and additionally talk of sexual assault. Those themes are very heavily reliant in this book, and I would like all of you to know that before going into it. This review is spoiler free. You don't have to have read Moxie in order to watch this review because it does come out on September 19th, and if I have ever asked you guys to pre-order a book or reserve it at your library, Moxie takes the cake. I would really love to see this book on the New York Times bestseller list. I would love to see this book in the hands of the teens and young adults and people who can really benefit from such an empowering novel. So I'd really recommend it. Here are my thoughts. So I originally got Moxie at BA of 2017 and I was interested in it like feminist YA. That's something I'd really love to read more about, but it wasn't at the top of my TBR until I had found this really sexist review from a reputable site that really pissed me off. So I kind of started this book in order to spite that review because I was angry and I knew they were going to be totally wrong. So I read Moxie. It was fantastic. I laughed, I cried, I was angry, I was satisfied, and I felt empowered, and it really left an impact on me. Like I said, this book is being marketed as a feminist YA novel, and that is not to say that this is exclusively for teenage girls. I really would recommend, if you are a teen girl, please read this book. I promise you it will be of comfort to you. But I do think everyone can benefit from this book because the main focus on it is not just female rights. It's not exclusive in that way. It is more about using your voice, learning that you are important and you have the power to change things. Though there is a lot of sexism in this book to combat, I think a lot of the themes and messages and really just the mission of Moxie is not just about, you know, equality between all genders. It is so much more than that, and I think there are so many different ways that people can benefit from this book. If you are struggling to find your voice, if you are looking for motivation to pursue things you are passionate about, or if you're just looking to find your place in the world, I think Moxie would just be such an asset to you, and I would really recommend it. No matter how powerless you feel against the obstacles in front of you, your voice prevails, and it is so important for you to use your voice and to be vocal about what you are passionate about and what you stand for, and I think Moxie is just a really great reminder of that. I think all the characters in this book were really fabulous, and all of the roles they played were so important to the mission of Moxie. We of course have Viv, who is our main character, and I so aspire to be like Viv. She is fearless, she is motivated and determined. She's articulate in her arguments, she gets her point across without being patronizing, and it's just in such an elegant way that I think she's really mature for her age. Viv is a force to be reckoned with, and anyone who is in her way should be shaking in their boots because this girl knows what she wants and she will do anything to get it. I do really love the way Viv's education of feminism comes across in this novel because her mom was a total feminist back in the 90s. Like, she was a part of the Riot Girls movement. She really looks up to her mom in that respect. And Viv's transformation of understanding what feminism is, realizing that she's a feminist, and taking from one of her friends, Lucy, who is a hardcore feminist, like her education and transformation of somebody who believes in the same thing as feminism and also fights for those rights was really, really well done. And while I'm saying all these things that show that Viv is like a really empowering character, she's also very realistic as a teenage girl. She goes through a lot of conflict as she is discovering feminism and wanting to do something with the sexism in her school, and her friends not really understanding her goals, and she's afraid of being too vocal about it as to not create problems among her friendships or for her friends to judge her. So she has some insecurities that I think are like totally valid and real things that teenagers experience. And Viv definitely does have her flaws as well. I just feel like she is such a well-rounded character. There are so many layers to her, and she goes through such fabulous character development that I think there was no one better fit to lead the movement of Moxie. Now, Seth is the love interest in this book, and I definitely do not consider this book a romance, despite the fact that we do have a relationship between Viv and Seth. Like I said, the main focus of this novel is a feminist movement against the sexism in the school and how to learn to use your voice. The romance definitely takes a backseat, and that was really refreshing because I love YA novels that incorporate romance and love and teenage relationships, but also have bigger meanings in store. In my opinion, Seth is honestly one of the best boys in YA. He is very understanding, he's open-minded and willing to learn, and I think the relationship of Seth and Viv is honestly one of the healthiest in YA. They do argue, they do say things that hurt each other, which happens often in relationships, but they're willing to listen to each other's sides. They're willing to compromise, and they actually talk out their problems. So I was really happy to see two people that were willing to work together as opposed to two completely stubborn people that just clash against each other when they disagree, which is very frequent in YA. So I think them as a relationship worked really well for the story. They just complemented each other so well. Now, Seth is a new boy in school, and he accidentally learns about Viv's efforts with Moxie very early on, but he's totally supportive of it. You know, he's always willing to listen to Viv talk about sexism. He agrees with most of her viewpoints, and he definitely has his slip-ups as a result of him not experiencing sexism in the way that women do. This book definitely tackles male privilege, and there are scenes that I think a lot of male readers would be uncomfortable in, but if there's anything I have learned from reading outside of my own experience, those are the best learning experiences, when you're able to feel uncomfortable and understand why someone else might be feeling that way about you or people like you. I think it's super beneficial, and I really wouldn't discourage any of you from reading it for that reason. I think it can be super helpful to opening up your mindset. I want to talk about that sexist review for a moment because it does incorporate Seth, because that review is totally wrong, and it completely pushes the narrative that feminism is something that is looking to separate genders as opposed to bring everyone together for equality. In that review, they say that one of the boys in Viv's school wants to help out with Moxie, and Viv doesn't let him, which is not true, because when Seth finds out about Moxie, he says, oh, you know, if you'd like, I can put them in the boys' bathroom as well, but it seems like something that you would want to keep just for you girls. And Viv contemplates that for a second and says, yeah, I think that's something I just want for the girls. So he already understood that before he suggested helping. He knew that it's okay for people of like-minded populations to come together and convene in a safe space that just includes them, and that's okay. So I fucking hate that review. Oh my god. All in all, Seth is a really great guy with good intentions who is willing to learn, and I find that to be so admirable, and he's also someone that I think a lot of people can look up to. Obviously, my favorite part of this book is all the feminism. Girls supporting other girls, girls coming from all different cliques across the high school spectrum to come together for the same cause, girls learning about feminism, what it means to be a feminist, and why it is so important that we stand together as opposed to against each other. And I want to be clear that I'm not saying this to push the narrative that feminism is only for women, because I vehemently disagree with that, but it is so refreshing to have a YA book that is focused on girls coming together to fight against a common cause, as opposed to other YA novels where you have so much girl-on-girl hate. But honestly, there's just so much feminism in this book. Like, every episode where a zine would come out that told girls, let's do this together to show that we are not standing for the crap the school is putting us through. Like, for example, they draw stars and hearts on their hands in the very first zine, which is why I have it on my hands today. But I just got such fluffy feels from seeing all of these teens come together for the same cause and really getting to know each other as a result of feminism. Like, it's not just like they stand together in only like a feminist viewpoint, like they become friends as a result of fighting for the same thing. And it's so good and fluffy and lovable, and it was a really fantastic book. Another really great thing about Moxie is it does sort of tackle the white privilege among women in regards to feminism. We have at least 2 important characters in the novel that are people of color. I believe Lucy, who is like a big feminist in the novel, is Hispanic, and we have another black girl who is also at the forefront of the Moxie movement. They definitely educate Viv on how the sexism that she experiences is entirely different from the sexism that they experience. I just really appreciated the fact that this book made efforts to make the distinction on how some women are at an even greater disadvantage among the sexism in society. That is an extremely important theme to keep in mind when talking about feminism, and I think that this book would have been incomplete without it. It was so important, super crucial to the message, and I'm really happy it was included. I do have one critique of this book, and that is I do wish there was a little bit more diversity. Like I said, I'm ecstatic that we have 2 important characters that are teens of color, and we do have a relationship between 2 of the girls at the school that is kind of alluded to during the story, though it's not explicit and these 2 characters are definitely not out. I do kind of understand this because it is a small Texas town school. It's very conservative. They mentioned in the book that there are 2 boys that are out in school, and they are constantly at the butt of inappropriate gay jokes, and there isn't a great reaction to people of various sexualities there. So I understand why they wouldn't be out, and it makes sense as to why there aren't so many diverse characters at the forefront of this novel, but I do still wish they were included more. I think having a little bit more of an inclusive cast would have even pushed the message of Moxie even further, that this is really a movement for all people of various ethnicities, sexualities, levels of ability, and whatnot. I think it would have been really important, but like I said, I can't be too mad at it. Like, this book is really, really fantastic. That's just one critique of it that I did have. So that is really it for my review of Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. I obviously really, really loved this book. There's so much greatness in this novel. It really is a quality book that I would highly recommend to, again, literally anyone. I think everyone can benefit from reading this book. It's sweet, but it's also powerful. It deals with such intense topics that should be addressed more in YA literature, and I think it is just so unique and individual in nature. It really is a refreshing read. It's one that you are not going to be able to put down. It's fast-paced. It has so much great content to it, and I would just... all I'm saying is how much I love it, because that's all I can really think about. It's just how freaking fantastic Moxie is. So let me know in the comments of this video, have you read Moxie? What did you think of it? Or if you were intending on purchasing it or reading it from your local library once it does come out on September 19th, which I would, again, highly, highly, highly recommend. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new video. Bye!